Hey everyone, today we have another round of great deals that you can pick up for your Nintendo Switch over the next couple of days. We'll start with games under $5 and work our way up a bit, but we'll keep everything budget friendly as always. Thanks for hanging out. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button for us, and if you're new here, welcome to the channel. Hopefully we can earn your subscription today. Alright my friends, let's get started. Stay safe out there. Alright, we'll start with Apple Knight, which is a single-player retro platformer with deep RPG and upgrade systems in place. The controls feel tight and responsive, and there are a ton of levels with cool boss battles, and you have plenty of upgrades you can find as you work through the stages. Now the download comes in at about 390 megabytes, and you can expect several hours of gameplay, plus it's fun to just replay the levels as well. It's suited for all ages, and right now you can pick it up for just $199, marked down 80% until the 21st and matching an all-time low. Crown Trick is a single-player strategy RPG that offers more than 20 hours of gameplay on average, with the download around 1.4 gigs. It's a great roguelike with turn-based tactical combat, beautiful art and animations, and the story is surprisingly deep as well, plus at its core it's a dungeon crawler, which is one of my favorite genres. Now each run feels fresh and varies from the last one, and the item upgrades and unlockables are amazing. If you're interested in Crown Trick, be sure to pick it up before the sale ends on the 20th. It's marked down 75% to just $4.99. The Bug Butcher is a fun arcade-style shooter that offers 2-player local co-op, tons of stages full of fast-paced action, and plenty of replay value to justify the asking price. It's one of those vertical shooters where you'll have to position yourself under the enemy, as you can only shoot straight up in the air. It gets pretty hectic, especially with the second player, and like usual, it's even more fun if you have someone to play with. Right now it's on sale for just $199, marked down 75%, and again matching an all-time low. Make sure to grab it up before the 18th. Next we have Depth of Extinction, which is a game similar to Mario plus Rabbids or XCOM with strategic turn-based combat scenarios. Only this one is from a much smaller indie developer, so it's going to lack a bit of polish around the edges. Now the game has a download around 600 megabytes, and while the story is somewhat lacking, they nailed the combat, and I think fans of the genre will feel right at home, and it's the right price. If you are interested in Depth of Extinction, make sure to grab it up before the sale ends on the 23rd. Right now it's marked down 77% to a brand new low of just $344. Felix The Reaper is a unique single-player puzzle-style adventure title that offers about 8 to 10 hours of gameplay, and it has a download around 4.3 gigs. We play as Felix, a Reaper to the afterlife, and he's fallen in love, so like any normal Reaper, he decides to take up dancing to impress the lady. The main gimmick of this one is that you can only move in the shadows, so you'll have to learn to manipulate the sun to get around and solve puzzles. It's a really fun game and often gets overlooked, but right now you can pick it up for just $199 with a discount of 87% and matching an all-time low until the 19th. Next we have Guild of Darksteel, which is a single-player retro-style platform adventure title with a download around 140 megabytes and the main story that should last roughly 3 to 4 hours to complete. The game was inspired by classics like Flashback and Vagrant Story, and it really does put a heavy emphasis on strategic combat, chaining together combos, and for those that are new to the genre, it will take a bit of getting used to at the start. If you are a fan of the genre though, or you enjoy a good platformer that's driven mostly by the story itself, Guild of Darksteel is on sale until the 17th for just $374, matching an all-time low. Green Hell is a single-player survival sim that gives players unlimited hours of replayability. Now it is an unforgivingly realistic survival game that will see players dying over and over again as you learn what you can eat or drink or how to craft what you'll need to survive in this brutal environment. Basically, you wake up in the Amazon and you have to find a way to survive. Now you have to craft bandages and medicines, you have to make tools, and of course you'll have to find food and a water source that's safe to consume. Each death does teach you a new lesson, and believe me, there'll be plenty of them, so don't let it frustrate you. But if you're interested, you can pick up Green Hell right now for just $249, marked down 90% and matching a previous low until the 24th. Next up we have Inside, which is a single-player puzzle-style adventure game from publisher Playdead, and while the story will only last a couple of playthroughs at just maybe 3 or 4 hours, this is definitely a must-buy game in my opinion. Now you start off just like most of the games in the genre, alone and with no real understanding of why you're in your current situation, and then you just kind of work your way through the story from there. The atmosphere is incredible, and as far as games in this genre go, this might be one of my favorites. It's marked down 90% right now to just $1.99 and matching an all-time low, but you will need about a gig for the download. Kave Adventure is a really cool side-scrolling platformer with a special gimmick in that you have a jetpack that you can use to fly around the stages as another form of movement, in addition to the traditional jumping and running like you'd find normally. Now the controls feel great once again, the combat is fun, and of course getting to fly does add a bit of excitement into the mix as well. The game gives you more than 35 different levels that should take roughly 5 hours or so to work your way through, and right now it's on sale for just $1.99 until the 21st of May, marked down 90% and matching an all-time low, but it does have a 3 gig download, so make sure you have space first. Up next we have Live by the Sword Tactics, which is a retro-style RPG that takes inspiration from classics like Final Fantasy Tactics and other 16-bit JRPGs. It has a download around 1.6 gigs and offers dozens of hours of gameplay. Now, if you're new to the genre, there is a very in-depth tutorial that will give players a solid understanding of how the different mechanics work. The battlefields are grid-based and combat is turn-based, of course, and it does look gorgeous and run well here on the Switch. Right now you can pick it up for a new low of just $2.99, and you even have the option to play with a friend locally or take the game online. Again, make sure to pick it up before the sale ends on the 18th. Lost Castle is a fun roguelike here on the Switch with a cartoonish look, and it features both online and local co-op, making it a great value if you want a fun game to play with friends. It has a download around 850 megabytes and offers more than 30 hours of gameplay, and the online has always worked perfectly for the crew whenever we hopped on to play for a bit. The game gives you a few different options at the start of each run, and you can customize your character as well, which is pretty cool. Plus the gameplay is a blast with fun combat and cool and unique bosses, but again, this is an incredibly difficult game, so be prepared to get whooped up on for a bit before you can start to dish it back. There's also a ton of cool weapons and armor pickups you can find, and right now the game is just $1.99, marked down 80% and matching an all-time low until the 14th. Next we have Lost Wing, which is sort of a third-person action game where we pilot a cool spaceship through 3 different stages, taking down different enemies and bosses along the way, while having to avoid hazards and of course survive until the end. Now the game has an amazing soundtrack, and while the main story isn't too long, maybe just 2 hours or so, it does have some replay value, plus it's fun to play and easy to pick up for short play sessions. Now the game is pretty difficult, so keep that in mind, but if you're interested and up for the challenge, you can pick it up for just $1.99, marked down 75%, and the deal ends on the 18th. Max, The Curse of Brotherhood is a unique single-player puzzle platformer from Flashbulb with a download around 2.7 gigs and a main story that will last roughly 7 to 10 hours to wrap up. Now the story in this one revolves around 2 brothers and one's journey to save the other after wishing him away in anger. The main feature with this one is that you have the ability to reshape the world with your magic marker, and you'll need to master this mechanic to make it all the way through the game. It's definitely an emotional story and a cool game, and right now it's on sale for just $2.24, marked down 85% and matching an all-time low until the 18th. 9 Parchments is a cooperative shoot-'em-up style RPG from the creators of the Trine series. The main story should take roughly 8 to 9 hours, with even more for completionists out there, and in this one we play as a group of runaway apprentice wizards convinced they can complete their training on their own if they just find and collect the 9 different parchments. The game is beautiful here on the Switch, and it runs great too. There are loads of collectibles and upgrades to be found, different spells to unlock and master, and of course fun to be had with a group of friends or family members. The game offers local and online play for up to 4 players, making it a great option for groups of friends, and if you're interested, grab it up before the sale ends on May 15th. It's marked down 75% and matching an all-time low of just $4.99. Nongunz, the Doppelganger edition, is a 2D action platformer that offers local co-op for up to 2 players, and it comes in with a download just over 350 megabytes, offering a main story that should last roughly 4 to 5 hours to wrap up. Now the game is a roguelike, so keep that in mind, and this is a remastered version which brings a couple of new game modes into the mix, including the Endless Arena mode, which was a personal favorite for me. Now there are a ton of weapons and they all feel great to use, plus as you can see the game has a unique art design, and of course the soundtrack matches the mood too. Right now you can pick up Nongunz for just $3.74, marked down 75% and matching a previous low again until the 17th. Next we have Old Man's Journey, which is a puzzle-style adventure title that offers players a deep and emotional story that should last roughly 2 hours or so to complete. It has a download around 1.3 gigs, and it really does allow the player to connect to our main character and does have some genuinely heartfelt moments all throughout. The puzzles are never too overly complicated, so don't let that stop you from playing this one or picking it up. Right now it's on sale for just $199, marked down 80%, again matching an all-time low until the 17th. Omega Strike is another single-player action platformer. This time it offers roughly 6 hours of main story and comes in with a download at about 85 megabytes. Now the game at its core is a Metroidvania with a huge open world to explore, locked behind secret items or upgrades, and in this case sometimes hidden behind unlocking different characters that you can then play as. In fact, the game offers 3 different playable characters, all different from one another with strengths and weaknesses that will affect how you approach each part of the world. The boss battles are awesome as well, the controls and graphics are top notch, and this is one of my favorite indie games here on the Switch. If you're interested in Omega Strike, be sure to pick it up before the sale ends on the 17th. It's marked down 85% and matching an all-time low of just $224. Up next we have the Panzer Dragoon Remake. This is a single-player arcade-style shooter from Forever Entertainment, and it has a pretty hefty download at about 9 gigs, but you can expect to get plenty of game time for the pickup. Now this is a beautiful remake, and it lets players fly on top of a dragon through 7 different stages, taking out tons of different bad guys that can attack from all different sides. The graphics are fantastic and really bring the world to life, and being a fan of the Sega Saturn, I was happy to see this remake come to the Switch. If you're interested, be sure to pick it up before the deal ends on the 24th. It's marked down 90% to just $249, again an all-time low. Next we have Rogue Aces, which is an arcade-style shooter with a small download around 165 megabytes, and it offers more than 10 hours of gameplay. Now the controls are great once you get used to them, which can take a little bit, and the game has a more toned-down look in comparison to some of the games that just go crazy with projectiles everywhere, which does help keep the screen clear, and there are multiple game modes for replay value. That coupled with the randomization of different things in the game makes it a must-play in my opinion, and if you're interested, it's on sale until the 28th, marked down 85% and matching a previous low of just $199. Rogue Heroes Ruins of Tasos is a top-down adventure game that plays a lot like classic top-down Zelda titles from the 90s. It has a download around 1.8 gigs and offers nearly 20 hours of main story gameplay on average, plus you have the ability to team up with 3 other people online and play the entire game together. There's also a town building system that adds even more depth to an already content-filled game, and right now it's on sale for just $4.99, marked down 75% and bringing it to a new low until the 20th. Shovel Knight King of Cards is a single-player action platformer with a download around 250 megabytes, and it offers more than 10 hours of gameplay with the potential for plenty more depending on how addicted you get to the all-new deck-building minigame they introduced for this installment. So in addition to the amazing gameplay that you find in all of the Shovel Knight games, you also get Joustus, which is a brand new card game with over 120 unique cards and in-game challenges tied to them. Now this is a steal right now. It even offers New Game Plus as well. Make sure to pick it up before the deal ends on the 15th. It's marked down 70% to a brand new low of just $2.99. Next up we have Circa Infinity, the Ultimate Edition. This is a single-player reverse platformer with some mind-melting levels and boss battles. Now the game offers more than 10 hours of gameplay with a small download around 150 megabytes, and while it's nice and easy at the start, by the end of the game it's insanely difficult. Each new set of levels introduces a new mechanic or enemy type that you'll have to make adjustments for and learn on the fly. The music is another highlight, and right now you can pick it up for just $1.99, marked down 80% again until the 15th, matching an all-time low. Trine 2 The Complete Story is a fun puzzle platformer with both local and online play for up to 3 people, and it offers more than 10 hours of gameplay, again making this a great value for this weekend. There are more than 20 different levels with all kinds of environmental puzzles and hazards to avoid. The graphics are gorgeous here on the Switch, and again you have 3 playable characters which fans of the series will recognize for sure. Again with online it takes it to the next level, and right now you can pick it up for just $4.24, marked down 75% and matching an all-time low until the 15th. Alright, and here's a real quick recap of games that are on sale from our last under $5 video. Blade of Darkness is a remaster of a game that released 20 years ago, It's a single-player action-adventure title with a download around 1.5 gigs, and the game offers more than 15 hours of gameplay on average. You do have 4 playable characters, each with unique starting areas and paths to the end, but ultimately they all lead to the same ending. You do have to know what you're getting into though here. The game is janky and feels familiar if you grew up gaming back when this originally released. The remastered version is mostly visual, just bringing it up to today's standards. It's a cool game for what it's trying to be, and right now it's on sale for just $4.99, marked down to a new low, and the deal ends on the 17th. The Companion is a single-player, explorative puzzle-style adventure game here on the Switch. It's a new release and gives players 7 different levels to explore, and of course, as you can see, the main character is a majestic white fox. The story does a good job of pushing the player forward, and as you explore, you'll find and collect a resource called Essence, as well as different artifacts that will be needed to piece together the overall puzzle that connects the zones together. Our little fox is voice acted as well, and we'll talk to the player to help guide them along. It's a peaceful game with a soothing soundtrack, and right now it's on sale at an introductory price of just $4.99, marked down 75% until the 18th. Viviette is a single-player horror survival game with a roughly 4 to 5 hour story, and the download comes in at about 125 megabytes. Now the game plays a lot like older Resident Evil games with a top-down view and a more retro aesthetic. In this one, you'll have to explore the huge haunted estate while searching for items, managing inventory, solving puzzles, and pushing the story forward, all while trying to avoid being caught by a roaming monster. It's definitely one of the better games in the genre, and right now you can pick it up at half price, bringing it down to just $4.99 until the 18th, matching an all-time low. Next we have Onion Assault, which is the newest game from the creator of the Gunman Clive HD collection, as well as a couple other indie games here on the Switch. This time around we have a 2D platformer that feels sort of like a blend of Super Mario Bros. 2 and the previously mentioned Gunman series. Now, just like with Super Mario Bros. 2, you can pick up enemies or catch projectiles and throw them back at the enemy, and the game is surprisingly fun. It has a download just under 150 megabytes and gives players a total of 16 different levels to work their way through, each getting a bit harder, and by the end it can be pretty challenging. Right now you can pick it up for just $6.39, a new low, and the deal ends on the 17th. Primal Light is a retro-inspired single-player action platformer with a download around 220 megabytes, and it gives players 10 different levels to work through, each having their own boss at the end as well. Now I mentioned the retro feel, and you can tell the devs love the Castlevania series, plus the art design always works well here on the Switch. The combat itself is pretty intense, and the game is difficult by default, but there is a difficulty slider if you feel it's a bit too tough. Now the sound design is another thing that I want to mention. It's top tier as well, and right now you can pick up Primal Light for a new low of just $7.49, half price until the 14th, and I would highly recommend it. Next we have Tales of Vesperia, the Definitive Edition, which is a fantastic action RPG. It does have a hefty download around 13 gigs, but it offers more than 50 hours of gameplay, and it has a really unique combat system along with an intriguing story and some memorable characters that you'll encounter along the way. On top of that, this version includes the DLC and new playable characters as well for even more value, plus all of the enhancements that were made over time. If you're interested in Tales of Vesperia, make sure to pick it up before the sale ends on the 14th. It's marked down 84% to just $7.99, again an all-time low. Marsupilami Hube Adventure is a fun single-player 2D platformer and the newest mainline title in the series. It gives players roughly 3 to 6 hours of main story gameplay and allows you to switch between the 3 main protagonists at any time, which is pretty cool. Sadly, they don't really have anything that separates them, but that's okay because the gameplay and controls are both great here on the Switch. Now, with the Marsupilamis having those long tails, of course that would be their main weapon, and the game offers more than 20 different levels with cool creative boss battles, and the game offers a few different difficulty settings, making it easy for beginners, but still having the option for more hardcore gamers. Right now it's marked down more than 60%, bringing it to an all-time low of just $10.19, and the deal ends on the 18th. Cadence of Hyrule is an amazing mashup of one of the most beloved Nintendo franchises combined with an indie gem that came out of nowhere. Crypt of the Necrodancer was a fantastic game, and in fact the developer must have left an impression as they were lent the rights to use Zelda and then create this amazing follow-up. You basically have a Zelda-style adventure with Necrodancer gameplay mechanics, and it should last roughly 9 to 10 hours to finish up. Now, if you really don't like the rhythm aspect of the game, you can turn that off and play through in a more traditional way. The game is absolutely outstanding, and right now it's at an all-time low until the 14th. Make sure to grab it up while marked down half price, making it just $12.49, and if you're a Nintendo Switch Online member, you can try it for free first. Up next we have Ender Lilies Quietest of the Nights, which is a single-player action RPG with a download just under 2 gigs and a main story that will take more than 20 hours to finish up. Now the game has an amazing art style and smooth gameplay, the dark atmosphere and soundtrack are incredibly immersive, and the story is engaging. The combat system is one of my favorites, plus there are so many new skills to unlock and a wide variety of cool weapons to use, it's just fantastic. Now the game is difficult but well worth it, and it does have a satisfying ending. If you're interested in Ender Lilies, be sure to pick it up before the sale ends on the 14th. Right now it's marked down 45% and matching an all-time low of just $13.74.
They told me I was too young. They told me I needed more training. I told them I was already dead.
Alright everybody, here are a few other games to check out while you're already on the eShop. Alright everybody, thank you all so much for watching. We really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video or you like the Switch, we have plenty more content on the channel. Feel free to check it out.